Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I'm here with Mudcat Cody. What's up, guy?
Not too much, man. How we doing?
We're doing good. I'm really kind of pumped for this episode. I had to get to run some trivia on you, so I can stay safe for another episode, because as you guys can tell, we had the clips rolling yesterday. I was pretty much, maybe they weren't that bad for me, but I was wrong a lot on the actual episode.
It's tough. The pressure's on. It's tough.
It is. What's up, Albert?
Real quick, I just want to say cassata cake was great for anybody that was curious.
Yes, that was another clip that we just had, dude. It was that is hilarious. Did they end up putting your name or any candles in there, or you just went?
No,
you went just straight in baby style, probably just. Ow.
Yep. I'll tell you what it is. The strawberry's great. The pudding's great. Those are important. And I'm not even a white chocolate guy, but it's the white chocolate shavings. I don't know if that's an always cassata thing or if that's what Myers does, because I've really mostly just had Myers. But those white chocolate shavings, they just top it off.
I would say that's maybe not an only Myers thing, but it's probably unique.
Yeah.
So our agenda for today. Did you have any dad bod jokes that you wanted to run? I have to check with you every time on this.
You know what? I have one. I hate to kind of reuse some. No, I don't. I don't have one. I don't have one.
Okay. What we'll do is we have breakout players. We're talking a couple guys that we like to see that is going to be our breakouts of the year. With that, it's just me and you. So we're expecting a little bit of a shorter show, which is why we can add some trivia and some news in here. So if you want to get us rolling already, we can get rolling on the news.
Yeah, we got lots of running back news today. So just a handful of minutes ago, Jets announced that Breece Hall's on the PUP for the start of training camp. At this stage in the game, it's my understanding he can be activated anytime. So, not necessarily super consequential yet, but you got to be a little worried. And I wanted to dive a little further into this for a second. I've been a guy, and I know everybody's lumping them together, and I understand why. But Breece Hall and Javonte Williams. I know Javonte,
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, the whole offseason, Javonte tore his sooner. I know there was more damage. I know all those things are true. But Javonte's had longer to recover. And we've been sitting here the entire offseason with Breece Hall in the top 12 and Javonte outside of the top 36. These are players who last offseason were both borderline top 12. They were essentially drafted very similarly last season. Javonte got injured first, and his recovery has been more encouraging. But the entire industry is out on Javonte and in on Breece Hall. And I don't really know why, especially after hearing the news today. Obviously, today is going to have an impact, but why is that? I guess it's just more damage to Javonte's knee, but the recovery's been great by all counts.
I want to check something before I get to the second point here. And there's a difference, right? And I actually thought this is what you were going to get to with what you were saying about this. We look at JK and we see a semi very rough estimate of what Javonte's return could potentially be. At this time last year, and JK was hurt in August. At this time last year, we were pretty confident that JK would be back by the year. He was posting tweets about it. There was kind of pushback on Twitter, getting upset.
Yep.
That's Javonte's tear. He tore the MCL
It's a
LCL.
worse tear. Yeah. Can I add one thing there before you go any further, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
I mentioned this last year during the season, and I ended up being right on this. So I'm gonna hang my hat on it here. There was all this talk of like, oh man, Javonte or JK's not recovered, XYZ. And I said, listen, guys, this is not a structural issue. He's getting scar tissue cleaned out of this knee. Now, it took away from the start of his season, but everybody was bailing. Everybody was trading him. And I was trading for JK. I traded for him in Dynasty. I traded for him a bunch of places because I said, this is not an issue with the structural recovery of that knee. There's scar tissue that needs cleaned out because it's causing him discomfort. That's different than the recovery from the injury. That's completely independent in terms of, does it have any bearing on the integrity of the knee? And that played out to be true with JK. And so in terms of saying like, oh, JK was slowed down last season. Yeah, with a subsequent injury, not by the same injury.
Okay. But the second point to this, I understand what you're saying. The second point to this is we're hearing about Brees go on the PUP list for it's just training. I actually think you should be doing the same offers for Brees that we're doing for JK. He's going on the PUP list because they start training camp tomorrow, first session. Denver Broncos don't start till the 28th. So
yeah,
we might see Javonte also on this.
Could. But in general, RB12 versus RB36. Why? They were both top 12 running backs going into last year. Why the difference?
That's a good point.
I'm not saying put Javonte to 12.
JK's got everyone scared.
And JK, when you say I should be trading for Brees, I traded a second rounder for JK in Dynasty when all this news was going on. I'm not getting Brees for a second. No, I just
offered a first in 2 seconds.
It's just different. Everybody was so out on JK because of some scar tissue. And honestly, maybe I was lucky with that call, but like it wasn't a structural issue. And I'm not saying drive Javonte up to RB12. I'm saying, why are we drafting Brees as a number 1 running back if this is what we're staring at?
I truly believe it is. It has to do with JK's is the blueprint and how people are viewing it, myself included. And they saw that was over a year. Javonte got hurt in week 4 or whatever it was, 5, I think right around there, and Brees in week 8 or 9. So yes, you're looking at it about a month difference in time. But everyone's like, Brees was a clean tear ACL. Javonte's got a little bit more work to do. So I think that's the biggest difference, is because everyone looks at Javonte and they look at it as an exact 1-for-1, even though all of these things heal differently. They look at it exact. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's really, are you willing to gamble a little bit? And I think your point is fair. Javonte at 36 might be I think that's what you said.
It's not really a gamble. I don't know what round he's going, but Brees
right.
is a number 1 running back. That's a gamble to me. That's a gamble.
This is actually something, and I'm not going to do it now. I'll save this piece of the conversation for later, but this is exactly something I want to talk to before we get into our breakout players. So after trivia, I have more to say about this, about the RBs.
Okay. I'm going to slide him down a couple spots, by the way. I'm not going crazy, but I'm probably sliding him. I was 12 on him. I think I'm going to put him 14.
I think I put him to 13 or 14. Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what I did.
All right.
And I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I think he might be top 10 for half the season. I'm not saying he's going to miss half the season, but it's just hard to expect him to be.
If he happens to miss, say, 4 games, you can't draft him as an RB1. So that's kind of the territory. Like, I'm hedging between no miss and 4 games right now. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. The biggest news of the day. 2 of Cody's former favorites, Leonard Fournette and Darrell Henderson, works out for the New England Patriots. My new favorite team. Sign them both. Dude. Get rid of Ramondre. Call it a day.
I don't want to get weird, but you'd be like, whoa. I can only get so, you know what? That's today. Watching the Patriots work out both your guys. I mean, that's funny. I think Lenny's the for sure sign here. It just was, I was expecting it by 5 p.m. today. Maybe they're working out contract issues. Maybe they didn't like what they saw. This is somebody that I saw all since I have a tweet from May. I'm like, Lenny looks like he has worked out for the Pats. This is his 3rd time working out for them in sometime in his career. So I thought
it feels
this would
inevitable.
For sure makes sense. Yeah, it does.
Is it a little hit to Ramondre? The receiving work worries me. That's the part I'm worried
am a little bit more worried about. It's crazy. I know Lenny is kind of a pass catching guy. Darrell kind of solidifies that role a little bit more than I think Lenny would. I think they would use him as a breather, maybe even a little bit of a split. I think it worries me on Ramondre for both these guys, though.
Yeah, I'm I think average on Ramondre, I'm at 9. I think that's about right. I don't know what I'd do if they signed Lenny because I can't put Breece Hall over him now. I mean, I'd probably maybe slide Derrick Henry over him, but he's not moving far even if they sign him, I don't think. I just don't see it. I don't think.
Yeah.
And Saquon had a pretty cold little interaction with the New York Giants and seems to be legitimately considering sitting out 2023. He feels as in threat as Jacobs for me now.
It's kind of crazy. I didn't realize this, and I bet you there's loopholes that I'm not understanding. I put out a tweet, and it didn't really I got one response from Pack Rats saying, nope, play the tag or hold out. The crazy part is they can't get what's up, Willie? They can't get a contract for 2023. They cannot get a contract. The deadline is passed. They are franchise tagged. Now, I don't know if that means can they get an extension? Is there a time like past September 7th we can extend them for 2 more years or whatever sort of agreement that they can make? Like, okay, come that date, we'll do this.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a loophole, but the fact that both of these guys will have to play on the tag on 2023, it makes me more in question and doubt of Barkley for sure. I already am super doubtful of Jacobs. Now I am with Barkley as well.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And, I know it is unfortunate for these guys. We've had those discussions in the past. What I think for both of them, I just don't think this tends to play out well. I don't think the NFL is a sport where you can take time off, especially at the running back position. I think it's more likely than not it hurts you more than helps you. And so as much as I get it and I feel for him and all those things, like Saquon Barkley deserves a contract, I don't know that it helps him. I don't know what he's supposed to do. There's not a good answer for him, but I don't think sitting out is the answer.
Yeah, no, it is tough. It's all around just a weird situation. And as somebody who watches, it's really hard to even kind of analyze that. Like, in my mind, I'm like, get your money, get your bag, bro.
Yeah,
that's how I think. All right, so we have any more news? Or are you ready for some trivia?
I'm ready. It was all running back news for me today.
It's all running backs all the time.
Yep.
Let's just be a running back fantasy football show.
It's not cool to like running backs anymore, though. They're yesterday's news.
Gotta they are. Fantasy. I gotta save this thought, right? Just let me get through trivia, and I have such a thought on this. All right. So let's start off. We're gonna start off kind of easy, get a little tougher. I think I put them in the order that I found harder. Actually,
don't say they're easy because when I get them wrong, it looks really bad. You're teeing me up for disaster here.
These first two have to be semi-easy. Now, okay. Which NFL team had a winless season in 2008?
Detroit Lions.
You took your time on that. Or are we lagging? Oh, no, we're not lagging.
No, I was thinking about the year because I didn't think it was that long ago, but they're the only one, like they were the first one to do it.
And then the Browns.
Then the Browns did it. I think the Dolphins had like a winless season with less games or something like that way back in the day.
I thought it was the Lions. I thought they had one win.
Maybe it was one.
Lions were first.
Yeah, but 2008 sounded too long ago. I thought that was like 2012, and that's what caused my pause. I'm like, wait, like that's 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was. It was a while ago. Who was the Steelers coach prior to Mike Tomlin?
The Chin and his Bill Cowher. It was slipping me for a second.
I know that's some of these names are going to.
The name slips you. Yeah,
this one's going to be already tough to remember this name. Which player caught the helmet catch during the 42nd Super Bowl game?
Tyree.
Do you know his first name?
David.
You don't have to. Yeah. Wow. Look at you, dude. I don't think I would have remembered that, like his name. I would have been able to tell you
the last name definitely hit me first. I had to think about the first name.
Can you name the oldest team in the NFL? You're 3 for 3 right now, buddy.
Yeah. So, I think about, I'm going to go with the Packers, but I'm guessing it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Okay.
I'll give you one more guess to go for 4 here. It's actually kind of surprising.
It's kind of surprising, huh? I'm trying to think.
I can give you a huge hint. that would narrow it down to, I think, 3 or 4 teams.
Well, I was going to go Cowboys, but since you said surprising, that's not it.
Yeah. I'll give you the hint.
You're going to give me division?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's going to narrow it down to 3 or 4 teams.
Okay.
They have, and I think this is the case, and I may be messing this up. They have never won a Super Bowl.
Never won a Super Bowl, and they're the oldest team?
I'm double checking why you think this through.
Well, I mean, it can't be the Bills. Who else hasn't won a Super Bowl?
Not the Bills, not the Bears, Willie.
I'm trying to think of who else hasn't won a Super Bowl. Let's see.
Obviously the Browns, but I'll just tell you now, it's not the Browns. I don't know.
So is it by city or by team?
It's the exact same. If that
okay,
helps.
I was trying to think if there was a move in there, like you know what I'm saying, like the Rams moved to LA, but it could have been. I know it's not the Rams. Obviously, they won a Super Bowl, but like, is it a team that moved city? Is what I was trying to think through.
Yeah,
I don't think it's slipping me. I don't think. Well, so they don't think the Jets have ever won one. But the Jets have the oldest.
I think it's yeah. I think.
Have I named every team that hasn't won a Super Bowl except for this team?
The Jets have won a Super Bowl.
Jets, have they?
Yeah, Bills haven't. Willie said Bears, but the Bears definitely have.
Bears, yeah. It's a state. You said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to even now. My mind is so turned sideways, and I'm trying to even think of a team that is by a state, like that goes by a state. They can't be the Arizona Cardinals.
It is the Arizona Cardinals.
That's the oldest team in the NFL.
Yeah. According to this
I would
trivia
never
website.
have guessed that without.
I don't think I would either.
Never.
I don't think I would either.
Wow.
That's why it felt surprising.
Yeah.
And it was the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to keep moving because we're running low on time. The Steelers and Pats are tied for most Super Bowl wins. How many is that?
7.
6.
6?
Yeah.
You're right, because Brady got his 7th in Tampa Bay. Because as soon as you asked the question, I went to Tom Brady, and I didn't think it through nearly good enough. Dang it. I didn't think it through enough. If I'd taken a few more seconds, it would have clicked.
I could have probably said no. No, that was easy. You probably would have went right down.
No, that's an easy question. I butchered it. That's an easy question.
This one I think is kind of easy too.
Okay.
How many yards was the longest field goal ever made during an NFL game?
You think that's easy?
Yeah, it's the longest field goal. Can you name how many yards that was?
It was fairly recent, correct?
Yep. I do have that question out here too. Nope.
64?
Nope.
Okay, what is it?
Let's see if Willie got it. Oh, Willie went 64.
He said 64 as well.
66.
Oh, man. Well, if you just average my answers, I got it.
Can you name the player?
Was it McManus?
I knew you were going to butcher that.
Dang it.
McManus was the record holder before. He did. And I think it was something like 63 or 64.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let me think one more second, but I don't think I'm going to get it. Is he even really a thing? Like, was it a star?
Yeah.
It was. Was it Janikowski?
Nope.
Oh, I don't know that.
Dude, it's Justin Tucker. There's Willie.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know what year this was?
I remember him breaking it. 2021.
It was. You got the year. So you just told yourself that I can't remember 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. This one blew my mind, and I put it as the last one because I have no recollection of this.
Okay.
I really don't, and I know I watched it. Okay. Which 2 teams played in the 2010 Super Bowl?
Saints and...
That's a good point, Willie. It should have been a delay of game.
Oh. No, we're talking... yeah, Saints. And who did the Saints play? Is that correct?
Yes.
I thought so. But who in the world did the Saints play?
The Saints won this. Right?
They did. Yeah, the who dat. Or
This
who
was
they?
the
Who dat?
Katrina win.
Yeah. Was it who dat or
can't
who
remember.
day?
I don't know, but Bengals are opposite. Confuses me too.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they're who
So I
day.
got the winner. Who did the Saints?
I'll give you
Was it
5 more seconds.
Falcons was Patriots?
I'll give you 10 more seconds.
I'm gonna say Seattle, but I know it's wrong.
I'm gonna show you the answer. You ready?
Yes. Wait.
The Colts.
I had the answer. The Colts. Okay. I don't think I would have gotten it. I was going too many different directions than the Colts. I don't think I was going to get there. But I got the winner. That's all that matters. Nobody.
Yeah.
Tell me who gives a shit about the loser of the Super Bowl.
No, the only reason you give shit is because you're like, oh no, they're cursed for next season.
Right.
Philly. All right.
Good work, Albert, on that one, by the way.
Yeah, nice
Solid.
call. And to Willie too, because they're on different platforms. So I don't even think he saw that.
Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was this before we get into our breakout players. When we were going through this, I've had a real tough time picking out these RBs that I like super love. And I remember it being relatively easy last year, being on 3 or 4 guys that were going relatively late. And I started thinking about, why is this? Why can't I find like these late RBs that I'm super in love with? Like, I love Dylan, I like Swift, but not enough for me to be like, they're going to finish. Cam Akers is about the only one that I'm like high on from the 24 or whatever. Yeah.
Things are bad then.
Times are tough. And I was thinking, why is this? Why am I feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
Why is the community in a sense feeling this way? Because we're seeing RBs late this year, right? They got pushed back about 2 rounds, is I think what we figured out on average. And it's really, I don't think this is a consistent thing in fantasy football as much as everyone thinks it is. I think this is an overcorrection. I think there is some sort of middle point here, right? Like, we're too low now, but it makes sense that we're this low because we have so many RBs that have started for 5 to 6 to 7 years, who are up there in age, who are up there in touches, who there's that feeling of like, do I take another time on this? Derrick Henry, for example, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, all of these examples of these guys that have been putting so much mileage on their legs. Of course, they're going a little bit later. And you know what that also does is they're still the starter. They're still projected to receive the dominant amount of work. So it kills the back half of the RBs because you don't have no uncertainty really. So I thought maybe, just maybe, the strat of this year, and I think this is common, maybe I'm not going to say this is me originally thinking this, is the strat to load your team within the first, 5 to 7 rounds, get everything you need right there, except for RB. So it's a 0 RB, but taking it a little bit further, maybe the 8th round. And then just going crazy on every RB that you love from there on out, like 5 to 6 to 7 in a row. Because these guys, there's going to be some injuries. There's going to be some guys that just show they're washed, and we're going to see other opportunities come. We just don't know where they're at because these are all studs. These were all studs throughout their career. So we don't know who's going to drop the ball first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So immediate thoughts, I guess, on the philosophical change. I actually think it's less of an indictment, and I'm going to go 2 ways on this. Less of an indictment on the running backs, and we have such star-studded wide receivers right now. When you look at the likes of Jefferson and Kupp and Chase and Devontae Adams, like the player Devontae Adams is right now,
Tyreek,
as far as fantasy production 5 or 6 years ago, would be wide receiver 1, and now we're like, man, is he 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? You know what I'm saying? And so I think the wide receiver talent is so good, combined with that it's such a passing league right now, that the wide receivers are just putting up such gaudy numbers that it's having this impact on running backs. Now, obviously, there's all the other stuff. I think that core is aging. I think everything you're said is a piece of it. But I do think we have star-studded wide receivers right now, big time.
Do you think this is the new ADPs, or do you think it's coming back? It'll come back a little bit.
I think it's the new ADPs, but I'll tell you where I think we're missing. I'm going to go the opposite end of you, Mario. I think you're going to disagree with this. When I look at all of my running backs after, let's say starting at Breece Hall, let's say basically everybody outside of RB1, I've got real issues with almost all of them. Things scare me. We look at Brees and the injury. We got J.K. Dobbins and his question marks. We got Najee Harris has never been effective, basically. Joe Mixon's age. Alexander Madison's never been a starter. Miles Sanders has never been this kind of starter / stayed healthy. There's huge blemishes for all of the RB2s. And so I actually wonder if we're not undervaluing the top half dozen. They're sliding down too. We've talked like, hey, there's some drafts where only 2 running backs are going in the first round.
Well,
maybe 3.
Let's think about this though, because there's 2 guys that were in that first half that we don't even know if they're playing.
Yeah,
Barkley
Saquon and Josh Jacobs. Yeah. And I guess part of those are
Eckler's
real. Those
29, Henry's
scarcity,
29.
The elite RB1 scarcity is still there to me. That hasn't went away. So
Let's
say
do you want to roll the dice on?
Well,
It's
I think
Chubb.
when you talk about Eckler, McCaffrey, Chubb, Pollard, Bijan, that's
Chubb.
the group to me.
He's just been always broke. He's always broke out. Yeah. I think everything you're saying is it's a super good point. Like, because with some of these guys, like you said, the blemishes for me personally are when they have a lot of touches or when they're up in age, and Eckler and Derrick Henry
or in time shares, which is a thing these days. I'll add that in there. I mean, they're just,
And like Derrick Henry, you know what? My love for him, I think he's different. I think he's one I hope and I think he's one of those guys we see play late in his career. Does that mean I'm taking a swing on him? Not too likely. Not that likely.
Yeah, you could easily be staring at, well, no, Derrick Henry go after. But I was going to say, like, your love for a wide receiver we're going to talk about later, you know which one it is. I'm not going to spoil it, versus Derrick Henry. You're taking that receiver every single time.
Every time.
Yep.
Every time.
And they're both probably right at the cusp of, being a number 1 for their position. I dislike the RB2s this year.
It's a really tough year for RBs. And I want to, we have to remember to do this, Cody. At the end of the season, we have the ADPs. I would love to see what kind of pans out with some of these guys, but there are going to be some guys that go real late that end up being relevant due to probably injuries.
Oh, we talk about Nick Chubb and the bell cow he now is with no replacement and one of the most effective running backs in the history of the NFL. And I think there's going to be drafts that he's for sure going to be late second round, if not third round.
I think he's one of the ones that would lock in for me. Like, I feel very confident on Nick Chubb's role in this offense.
Yeah, totally agree. It
sucks. We always have the
I think I want to be the guy that owns one of these 5 or 6 running backs. And nobody else wants to, but I think I want to be one of the guys. I just think they're in a tier of their own.
Well, we have an auction league coming up, so we need to start putting our peak prices on players. That's how we'll draft.
Right.
We'll say, this is the most I'll spend on them.
I think I was a guy who was pretty early on. I don't want to say early. I was doing it before it was cool, that I would take a wide receiver early. I've taken first round wide receivers a lot, probably more than first round running backs. I'm almost starting to look at this and the way the price is driven up.
Zag it.
Yeah. If you tell me my choice is Nick Chubb or who's wide receiver, who's at that 2-3 turn, who would be wide receiver? Probably.
Is he 2-3 turn?
15.
He's probably mid 2.
I don't know. Saquon's mid 2 and Chubb's going after him.
Is Chubb going after him?
I think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
Okay, I got you. Hold on.
So theoretically, if you end up finding that 2-3 turn
Chubb at 14, Barkley is
a little higher than I thought.
Okay. Yeah, so
I had him reversed.
Chubb is a sandwich in between. Well, I'll give a couple guys. Amon-Ra's 13.6, Devonta Adams at 14, Jalen Waddle at 16. So Chubb, there's a clear ADP drop after
Give me
Chubb.
Devontae, Chubb, and then the other receivers.
See,
but if somebody made the case for Chubb, I'm totally good with Chubb there. Definitely give me Chubb.
Yeah. And JT's going 17. He might be kind of a lock. It's just this offense a little scary.
I have JT over Chubb.
Well, there you go. I think I do too, but I think I want to be higher on Chubb.
So talk to me about, real quick, I like what you're doing there. Talk to me about the receiver sandwiched around JT. If you have it. Sorry, I know you kind of clicked off there. My apologies.
I did. Jesus. Cody.
Oh boy. It's probably Olave and Devontae Smith and T. Higgins. Give me Taylor.
Jalen Waddle, Jonathan Taylor, Olave. And then it goes Barkley, Pollard, Patty Mahomes.
So and Devontae and T are later than that?
They're later, yeah. JT at 17, Devontae at 21, T at 23.
Yeah, give me JT there.
Yeah, because you know what? And I think we're going to segue into the breakout player talk with this line. Chris Olave would have been a guy that I probably would have on this breakout players list.
Mm-hmm.
It is just hard to say that Michael Thomas is absolutely nothing. I'm not buying into it. I get it. He's played 3 games last year and 0, but he is still a guy that even in those 3 games last year demanded a ton of targets. And I think Olave could be fine as a wide receiver too. But when we're talking about breakout, we're thinking at least within the top 12 of their position.
If Michael Thomas was gone, I would feel the same way about him as I do your other receiver you're going to talk about. Honestly.
I am so just – I can kick off if you want me to because
yeah,
I am –
Yeah, let's talk that. Let's do it.
Okay. So I haven't got the chance to do this. We've had previews of me confessing my love for this player this year.
It's gonna go too far before this is over. Let me be crystal clear. It's gonna go too far.
It always does.
Yeah.
All right. My breakout player is Garrett Wilson. All right. Let's look at some history here. You know, I love my stats from 2011, so we're gonna pull some stats from
3 games from 2011.
Since 2011, there have been 3 rookie wide receivers to have 130 plus targets. Garrett Wilson had last season 139 on PFF, 147 everywhere else. Yeah, I don't even know what to believe necessarily. The 3 wide receivers that had 130 plus targets: Kelvin Benjamin as a rookie.
That's a name. Goodness.
Jalen Waddle, and then Garrett Wilson. In fact, Garrett Wilson had the 2nd most targets for a rookie in NFL history behind Anquan Bolden. That's another.
Wow.
Name.
That is.
Here's a better stat. Since 2011, there's only been 4 rookie wide receivers that put up more yards in a season than him: Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, OBJ, and Michael Thomas. That's
pretty good group.
A pretty nice group. Yeah.
It does. I'll give you that.
Look at that company. You want me to do? I'll do 12 for you. I'll do 12 rookie wide receivers that have the top 12. So behind Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, AJ Green, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle. Listen to that top 12.
Not a bum in the bunch.
Not a bum in the bunch. You're right. You know what else was interesting about this?
Okay.
He was tied for the least amount of touchdowns in this group. Ironically, guess with who? Chris Olave.
I was say because Kelvin, I think, got a ton of touchdowns. Oh, Chris Olave, interesting.
Yeah, so these 2 rookies, both with 4 TDs, are both in this list, and both from Ohio State, both drafted same year. Chris Olave is right here with my love for Garrett Wilson. It's just Garrett Wilson has less competition, and this is what leads me to my next piece. Say what you want about the weapons, but he is clearly the wide receiver 1. And I am all in.
And I don't buy that these weapons are good. That whole narrative.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But let's say they are, right? You want to paint this picture? This is probably where I don't know.
Say that a 37-year-old Allen Lazard finally got good.
Yeah. Let's act like they are just going to have this amazing year. Because you know what the haters are going to say? Mario, he ain't getting a 147 targets again this year, huh? Again. PFF shows 139, so whether that's even if it is 139, better for Garrett Wilson. Jets threw 627 times last year. Okay. It's kind of a random weird stat, right? Like that's a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that top 10?
I actually didn't pull that, but
it sounds like a lot. I'd agree.
And my thought is, I want somebody to tell me. I get it; it could happen. To tell me that they don't hit this number or more after they became the New York Packers this offseason just to solidify Aaron Rodgers to the team.
Plus the Breece Hall news.
Breece is a little hurt. They have Michael Carter. They got Izzy. But they have literally said, here you go, Aaron. Here's your new team. And he became an owner that day.
Who would you like? Yeah. We'll go get him. Who do you want?
Two franchises now.
Randall Cobb? Is he still alive? Yeah, we'll go get him.
Exactly. He owns the Jets and he owns the Bears. So he is great NFL owner. Let's play a game here on
that was good, I didn't give you enough credit. That was great.
How does Garrett Wilson get I don't know, 145 targets. Let's play it
Okay.
out. 627 is our number here. We're saying they're going to throw at least 627 times. Lazard got 100 targets in 2022, his most of his career. So let's make that 110. AJ and A. Jones got 115 in 2022. I looked at 2021. They had only 102. We'll still say 115.
There's no chance the Jets. So this is in your favor. There's no chance the Jets throw to running backs 120 times.
Yeah, but we're going to keep it. Cobb got 39. Here's another unbelievable one. Cobb got 39 in 12 games in 2021. Let's make that 50 for this season if he miraculously doesn't get hurt.
Okay.
MVS got 73 targets in 2018, his most of his Green Bay career. We'll give Cole 75. Past 2 years, tight ends have received right around 70 targets from, I put Tom Brady on my notes, from Aaron Rodgers. We'll give them 70. Corey Davis has been right around 60 the past 2 years. So not only are we counting on Cobb and Lazard and the running backs, but we're going to give Corey Davis his 60 still.
Yeah.
This totals to 480. And I get it. Like I'm taking the highest for all of these guys. And I know there's going to be the others that trickle in. And I try to grab like even some of those trickles.
Right.
And I'm taking the peak on these guys, like the 115 to running backs, 110 to Lazard, Cole getting 75. This totals to 480. That leaves 147, right? 147 right there.
Yeah. It's good. You know what I've realized about myself? Because I hear you talk about it and everything points to he's going to join this group of elite wide receivers that I was talking about, that our wide receiver core is so good, especially with having Aaron Rodgers, all those things. You know what I just realized with Garrett Wilson, and I don't know why this is. I'm trying to convince myself I'm somehow like acting like there's no more room for anybody else to break out. Because I feel myself trying to hold Olave back. I feel myself trying to hold Garrett Wilson back. I even feel myself like trying to hold Jalen Waddle back a little bit. Like
when I also think that you've already kind of, and I'm not saying that you're wrong about this. I just think the opportunity is different. You already have Waddle as like that next guy up, and you're like, hold on, Waddle hasn't got his yet.
Yeah. Yep. I think I got to get over it. I think I got to realize this is the NFL now, and there can be 10 absolute star wide receivers. And that's never been the case before. You think of like. You know, I'm going to, of course, miss people, but like you think even 10, 15, 20 years ago, like there was a couple of guys who were the stars of their era. Who's going to be the star of this era? I mean, maybe it's Jefferson, but like, is it 10 of them? Like, honestly, there's so many good wide receivers.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like Tyreek, I would say is probably been the start. Tyreek and Devontae. I mean but now they're getting up there.
But it's almost the next one that I'm talking about. So the group of Jamar, those guys are still Olave, there, but Waddle, Devonta Smith. I mean, there's 6 to 10 of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Even if you include guys like Tyreek, that's going to be around for a little while yet. You know, I think I got to get over it and just realize there can be 10 studs. Because that's actually probably what's holding me back. Like I've tried to make this narrative of like, yeah, I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but it's a new quarterback. Who knows what they're going to do? I'm getting too cute. I'm just getting too cute.
But I'm biased on answering that. It just might be.
Yeah. Let me see how many targets I have him for, because I like your target talk. I'm sensitive to target talk.
I know what makes you guys tick. Oh, so you're solid there.
Yeah.
What's his
Honestly, I've got him for good stat line. I mean, I've got him 10th, so I don't have him low by any means.
Yeah. I think that's less than ADP, though.
Is it?
I think so.
Wow.
It should show you right on that. If you're on the rankings, it will show you on
Well, I'm on mine. Let me go over to the 250.
Wide receiver one.
Yeah.
1, 2. Oh, no. Maybe he's... No. You're higher. No, you're not. He's wide receiver 8 right now.
Yes, he is. Wow. But I'm not saying it's wrong. No, let's talk this. You convinced me. He's the next star, and he's got Aaron Rodgers now. What are the concerns?
I think the obvious concerns are he had 4 touchdowns last year. He's not huge. right?
Yeah. I
Can
think you're
that
crazy to
number go up?
project him for double digit, but I don't think you have to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think I have him projected for double digit touchdowns. I think the opportunity will be there, and he's not gonna be like a red zone threat, right? He's gonna be a guy that breaks off big runs, which gives bonuses to some leagues. And I'm gonna give a lame answer for the second part, which is dynasty and not redraft. But post Aaron Rodgers, what does that look like for Garrett Wilson?
Yes.
And that can be a little intimidating.
So in redraft, your only real concern is maybe touchdowns, but touchdowns, I stand strong on this. I think there's guys that catch more touchdowns. I'll acknowledge that, but touchdowns are the least repeatable, least sticky stat in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Fluky stuff happens, and maybe his 4 was a fluke. We don't know yet. He may show us that's the norm, but I'm not ready to say that at all.
I just think that, like, I know the stats that I brought up. I mean, it was the last 11 years. Well,
Yeah.
better. Yeah. I just don't like those are good wide receivers outside of Kelvin Benjamin, but I don't think he's going to have the same issues as Kelvin Benjamin, right?
No,
Like Kelvin kind of did the and Garrett, maybe Garrett has the injury bug or something. Knock on wood, jeez. Don't do it. But like there's issues like that, but like, dude, that's a elite top 12 right there.
Here's one more thing that sticks out to me, and I don't think it's alarming, but I think it's worth a quick conversation. To answer your question, Albert, let me get you up here. I have Devontae Adams over Garrett Wilson personally, but I don't believe Mario does.
No, I have Garrett Wilson at 5.
Yeah, so you don't. Yeah. So we're split on that.
I love Devontae. I think he's talented.
That's not true. You hate Devontae. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I believe I actually said
I
you
love
hate
him as a
human
wide
being.
receiver. But I don't. I do feel like I hear that a lot, though. I just hate Jimmy G as a human being. No, I won't say that. But like, I do not trust that offense. Think about without Josh Jacobs, they have Zamir White in the backfield. So
no, Josh Jacobs worries me. I'll agree with that.
They have Hunter Renfrow on the other side. There's nothing from a team like, okay, let's triple team this guy. That's not going to happen that often. But like, dude, it's just Jimmy G is the least reliable most injury prone QB there is. We might see Aiden O'Connell throwing the ball.
Yeah.
There's just so many red flags with Devontae for me. And I get it. He's a stud. He's been top 5 the past 5 years, 6 years. I don't even think he wants to play in Raiders anymore.
Right. One last thing I want to add on Garrett Wilson, and I'm not saying it's a concern. I would say if you're trying to pick this apart, it's something to put into your mind as consideration if you're a fantasy owner. 147 targets is a great number, and I do agree with you that it's fairly repeatable with this offense and the changes they've made. 83 catches is not a fabulous reception number for that kind of target share.
My rebuttal is clear here, right?
Aaron Rodgers is more accurate. I know.
Yeah, we're working with Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, and the sisters 4. Got it again, baby.
It's at this point, it's your tagline. You use it more than me. It's fun to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I always say it to you. I think.
No, you're gonna. I bet you say it to Jess. Like my performance tonight was like the sisters 4.
What's up, Notorious? You just missed out on some maybe Devontae hate, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let me hear your breakout player.
Yeah. For my first breakout, I'm going to keep it. Yeah, I'm going to keep my first one kind of short and sweet because you and I have talked this player a lot because you and I are the high guys on this player and we've both been rising on him. So somebody, like I said, you and I both been up on. It's J.K. Dobbins. And I know I talked that I don't like that second, those RB2s, that group, but he's one I like there. And if Breece Hall keeps doing funny stuff, he's getting eerily close to being a low-end RB1 for me this year. We're looking at a guy with a 5.9 yards per carry on 226 career touches. I know it's not a massive sample size, but 226 yards is a full season worth. I actually think 226. Yeah, 226 carries. I actually think that's a good projection for this season because I don't think he's going to be a 300 carry guy. But with the kind of effectiveness that he's had, it's very plausible number to say, hey, at 226 carries, he can be an absolute stud. You got Gus missed 2021, dealing with nagging injuries. You know, if we
I
said that he
think
gets,
still rehabbing.
yeah, he is. If we said he gets 226 carries and
I think Albert's breaking some news here.
I thought he was getting released.
I did too. So I think this might have just happened within the past.
Are the Lions worried about JMO?
Isn't that the second? Well, they took a tight end.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That makes me a little worried for JMO. I'm not going to lie.
There we go.
Yeah. I just look at J.K. Dobbins and I look at how effective he's been. He's now fully healthy. And like I said, I'm not as worried about the knee as some people have been because that second surgery was a cleanup of scar tissue. I know Norton's take on the Ravens haven't really given bell cow work to a running back, but who are they going to give it to, Mario? I understand they've split carries for the last handful of years. Are they giving it to an injured 28-year-old Gus Bus? I don't think so.
You know what always kills me about the people that will argue this point is, well, and it's not Norton because Norton's still in on Lamar, but like you'll hear people be like, well, this offense is changing. I don't know if Lamar is going to run as much and all of these, this, that, and that. We're made in the middle here. You just said, I think 226 carries is right around where he'll be. He has to be as efficient for him to be a breakout player. And that is what I am.
If he's real quick, if he's as efficient on 226 carries, he's an RB1 this year.
Oh yeah. And I mean,
easily.
With that, you're expecting some touchdowns. They don't do the Jalen Hurts up the middle sort of run.
Yeah.
So you don't have the concerns there with JK. The concerns is, can he get 226? Can he stay as efficient post, which we have seen, post his ACL injury? Because even in the little amount of times that he played, and is this different? Is this offense different under Monken? And I truly think it could be. I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong here, Monken was the only other time that Chubb reached close to 300 carries.
I think you said that before. It wasn't 300 though, but I think it was like his next
298.
Was it 298? Yeah.
I'll double check. And then also his most in his targets, which that also played into both of these things. Kareem Hunt was hurt for 8 games.
That's a piece of the game I want to see grow for JK, and that's where I think the upside is, Mario. Because on those, he has 226 career carries so far, like we said. He's got 11 touchdowns. So anybody that wants to say they're worried about the touchdowns, on one season worth of carries, on those 226 carries, which for a starting running back is an extremely normal number. That's not a massive number of carries. He has 11 touchdowns. I'm not worried about the touchdowns. I worry about the lack of receiving work. But that's where the conversation comes in. Theoretically, if this offense does change, we see Monken do some of the work with running back passing, receptions, and we see Lamar run a little less. All of those things line up to see. I'm not asking for a huge number, but if J.K. Dobbins catches 30 passes and is effective, I mean, there's an avenue for a massive season for J.K. Dobbins. I really believe that.
Yeah. So like, if you, again, this is kind of tough, but like, let's just say he has the tough part here is the yardage and the touchdowns. 130 points from his yards, he would get 60 points from his touchdowns. If we add 20 receptions, that goes from 190, which is RB21. If we add 20 receptions just from PPR alone, that puts him at RB16. You add in another
nothing. I actually think maybe I'm crazy. I know it hasn't been in his game, but I don't think 30s is out of the question. That's not a big number anymore for running backs. If you say this guy's our starting running back.
I think that number's fine. You're also just counting on Monken changing this offense to some degree.
I think to some degree you are correct, but I just don't think 30 receptions for running back's a big number anymore for a starter. I just don't.
It's a big number when you have a rushing QB.
It's fair, and I know that's Norton's take.
And I think I'm not in on that necessarily with this offense though, because I think they want to get to Lamar checking it down a couple more times a game. Like I think that's where they want to go with him.
And I could be wrong on this, but like I know that's true, but I still don't think 30 is a big number because even like the Eagles last year, I know none of their running backs had many receptions, but it was spread over 3 of them. Like their running backs caught.
Gainwell and Sanders had 55 or something, 55 to 60 between the two of them.
Yeah, like
neither had 30 though. Well, that's not receptions, that's targets. Sorry, 60 targets.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't think anybody's a threat here to J.K. Dobbins getting whatever the targets are.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, obviously they love Gus. They always have. But J.K. is just a guy that every time you see him play, he shows flashes of being like so good. Now we have just started this episode out with 2 OSU alums.
Yep.
Alex is turning over right now. I'm pissed. I am going to keep us moving here, and it's good. It is definitely going to be a much shorter and quicker piece here because Garrett's my main breakout. But if I was to look at RBs, and I already talked Cam Akers, I think normally Cam Akers would probably have been my choice here, but because I have already drilled down enough Cam Akers talk, yeah, exactly. I didn't want to do it again. So I think this one kind of feels semi-bold because we haven't necessarily but I think it might be Najee Harris. Now, there's not really a discount here. There's not a discount here. So this is not what I'm saying. He's being drafted as RB12, but we're talking about breakout. Once you remove the steel plate from his shoe in week 6, he was RB13 points per game for the rest of the season. Yeah, I get it. A little further out, though, the last 6 weeks of the season, he finished as RB5 total points, RB9 points per game. They added 4 new offensive linemen this offseason, 2 guards, 2 tackles. And this line was already starting to turn a kind of a corner late last year. We saw in Najee's game. They grabbed the right guard from the Eagles for 3 years, $24 million. So definitely not skimping. I mean, it's not insane, but $24 million is no joke.
Nope.
And I think just the schedule that I see that they have, the Steelers have the Raiders, their defensive line's pretty solid, but also not amazing against the run. Crosby's great against the pass, but not amazing against the run. The Jaguars, not a huge concern there. Packers, the Browns twice. We might, as homers, we want to think this defensive line is going to be better, but the Bengals twice. I don't think their defensive line is anything special.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
Cards, Colts, Seahawks. Those defensive lines don't scare me, especially Cards. The Cards might have the worst defensive line. So like that's a big portion of the season. I think Najee could have his year here. I don't know if this makes him, even if the crazy part is we're talking about breakout. So I think this is an unfair use of putting Najee, because if he broke out this season, I don't know if I would necessarily expect it the following season.
Yeah, I'm worried about his
I have not yet, and I want to watch this.
Yeah, I know somebody who's a Chiefs fan that says Patty, it's a great indictment on Patty. Like it's glowing.
Oh, dude. Kelsey already hypes up Patty as it is on his podcast. Go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
You know, on Najee, here's what it is. I agree with you. I like a lot of what you said. I think the matchups are good. I think the offense could look better. I think the offensive line moves all help. He hasn't got it done from an effectiveness standpoint. So our biggest struggle generally with running backs is lack of work. And we're like, just give him the carries. He's so good. Just give him the carries. It's the opposite with Najee. They give him the ball almost every single play, and it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. and if he finds a way to even be a 4.2 or 4.3 guy, a 4.2 to 4.4, an average NFL running back effectiveness, he'll be an RB1. If he can be average, he'll be an RB1. That to me is the end of the day question.
I think that's a great point too, is like when we're worried about these RBs, Najee, a big framed running back, is somebody that I feel comfortable taking, who I know is going to receive the work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got everybody that's, worried about so and so, it just isn't happening. I think Najee's still obviously that guy, but 3.9 yards per carry and 3.8 yards per carry is alarming. He's just got to do better than that. And I'm not expecting 5 yards a carry. Give me a 4.3. Give me 300 carries for 4.3 yards a carry. He's an RB1.
Dude, I just noticed. I saw this, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Not only have we grabbed 2 OSU alums, but we also grabbed 2 guys from the same team.
Yours is more exciting than mine. I dug a little deeper in the barrel for my second one. I wanted to find someone where I think they could really make a leap, not just from like, hey, they're a number 2 at their position, they could become a number 1, but somebody who's just not on fantasy radars, who I think has some real upside. And it's George Pickens. So a few reasons here. He was better in standard scoring last year than PPR, which I'll acknowledge. A lot of leagues are going to PPR, at least half-point PPR. He was better in standard. But after their bye from weeks 10 to 18, he was wide receiver 15 in standard scoring and wide receiver 26 in PPR. So 15 and 26. And he's now being drafted as wide receiver 40. So we've got offensive line improvements. We've got a year under the belt for a rookie quarterback. And this guy who finished 15 and 26 last year is being drafted wide receiver 40. Explain that to me.
I think there's I'll give you the only explanation that I can think. There's a lot of Deontay positive regression believers out there.
Yeah. Did you say a lot of regression for Deontay? I didn't hear you say.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, is he messing with me?
Yeah, so you bring up Deontay, which is perfect. They both had 800 yards last year, and maybe Deontay does a bounce back of some kind, like you said. But
I don't think he had a touchdown. I don't think Deontay had a touchdown.
And only 800 yards. And so you look at this and you say, okay, Deontay Johnson, wide receiver number 1, and then George Pickens there. Why? George Pickens did everything Deontay Johnson did last year and more.
And
Deontay's still being drafted.
Film, it's fun. And I think that's this is the type of player that usually jumps in ADP because of what people see these plays. I mean, there was a couple sideline catches that Pickens had last season.
Another young guy there's a ton of upside there. Deontay's being drafted 10 spots higher. Give me Pickens over Deontay. The upside's so much better to me. There's not a chance Deontay becomes a star. Maybe there's a chance Deontay catches 90 balls and he's a wide receiver too. Yeah, keep it. There's a chance Pickens is something.
Yeah, I think you lose Claypool, who at this time last year we believed would be a relevant pass catcher in this offense. So
definitely,
I know that people go, oh, who cares about Claypool? But like when we were reviewing these teams and talking these teams, we were always accounting for Claypool, and I'm not even completely out on him on the Bears quite yet. I mean, I'm
right.
It's there's no risk with that pick, right? But when we talk about Pickens, he is absolutely a dude that has that like star potential. He has that cockiness, which is that goes into the package, right?
It does.
I mean, it's the OBJ like catches. You got the attitude of like DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know, but those sort of things are exciting. And when you see weeks 10 through 18, the second half of a rookie season, and he's starting to come up, that's a good sign.
With horrific O-line and all of those things. I mean,
and
he had 800
QB,
yards as a rookie. Rookie
yeah.
QB and had 800 yards rookie. Mario,
right.
He went double digits 9 times last year in fantasy. Even stud wide receivers barely hit that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying every stud, but there's some guys we're drafting as wide receiver 1s that probably only did it 9 or 10 times.
This is a very split guy too, because like on Twitter, you'll see people talking about George Pickens, and it's either I love him or I hate him, and I don't understand. And I think you're making solid points because I really he was a guy that I haven't necessarily looked into.
He's easy to ignore. He really is.
Well, because you know why he's also easier to ignore is because nobody knows what Kenny Pickett's development looks like next season. Because there wasn't anything that's like, there wasn't anything super exciting about his development.
Yep.
So I think that plays into his ADP a little bit too. I did ask a question on Twitter. I think we only got one person to respond. Okay. So if anybody's listening in the chat and they want to throw out theirs, I wanted to shout out Snorkelson2 on Twitter, SNORKELSON2. He said, I think Van Jefferson is ready to break out. Has the NFL father, has been hanging with Stafford this offseason, and is the number 2 wide receiver on a team that will need to pass a lot. I appreciate how deep he's going with this because, again, we're talking breakout players, and it's scary to take somebody that deep, right? He's taking a breakout sleeper, essentially. Like it's almost its own category, and I appreciate that, and I think if Stafford's going to ball, it's not going to be to just Cup I love Cup with everyone, but like I have to think that Cup is going to be drawing so much defensive attention. And
to add to that, we're not projecting injury, but Cup has been a guy that suffered some injuries. And if Cup goes down, there is nobody else. Nobody. Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily a great thing for Van Jefferson. He's the wide receiver 1. I think he's going to be low effectiveness, low efficiency if he is the wide receiver 1, but it's not out of the possibilities that we see a good number of games where something happens to Cooper Kupp. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. We don't have many more breakout players, but I'm sure maybe we get the other guys to get theirs on an episode and we'll get them talking about it as well.
I'd like to go a little deeper. Some of these later guys, I like that.
Yeah, we'll call that like a breakout,
Like a
sleeper.
I guess it's your sleepers. Yeah,
Maybe
it's sleepers.
deep sleepers.
We could even call it sleepers.
That's original, dude.
Yeah, thank
Did you think of that on your own?
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, Van
All right.
Jefferson ECR 197. I love it. Love it.
That is kind of a free pick.
Yep.
So I appreciate him bringing that up.
Yep.
Mudcat Cody, any last thoughts?
That's it.
All right. For myself, for Mudcat Cody, we love you guys. Peace.
See ya.
Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and